Call of Duty has finally addressed skill-based matchmaking. Activision has finally addressed it. So we're gonna hop into their blog post and see what exactly they have clarified or what needs more clarification. Let's see if they don't leave us with more answers than we have questions. Let's hop right in. Alrighty, so you guys can see here, we are at the beginning of the blog post. Alright, so Call of Duty update and inside look at matchmaking. Uploaded January 29th, 2024. So a little late on this, but let's get into it. It says here at Modern Warfare 3 Season 1 late last year, we committed to the conversation with our community about matchmaking. So all this is just going over things that pretty much just things that they have been telling us, like they want to talk about it. They're going to only discuss multiplayer in this blog post. So they're stating here the single biggest priority with respect to multiplayer matchmaking is delivering a fun experience to our players. While we have many years of testing and learning as part of our matchmaking process, we are continuously working on to deliver the best experience possible. For that reason, we continue to test and look forward to more enhancements to come, blah, blah, blah. So basically, they're saying they're just testing out different types of matchmaking. We often see the community refer to matchmaking system as skill-based matchmaking. Call of Duty does consider skill, more specifically player performance. How's that more as a concept as do most in the industry? I mean, not really. X Defiant said they're not gonna. Fortnite, I believe, doesn't do skill-based matchmaking unless it's in ranked. So that's pretty much a you thing, buddy. They didn't give any examples either, so. But skill is not the dominant variable. We consider prioritizing several factors to create lobbies. Okay, so they're saying skill is not the only thing that they implement into the system to determine on what lobbies you get thrown into. Okay, so now they gave us like what best I can explain looks like a pie chart from the Modern Warfare 2 Gunsmith. Pretty much you just they just need to move the sliders on based on skill, lower connection, and it pretty much just look like that and include the little top two things that they say they prioritize connection. As a community we attest ping as a community will attest, ping is king. Connection is the most critical and heavily weighted factor in the matchmaking process. Time to match. This factor is the second most critical to the matchmaking process. We all want to spend time playing the game rather than waiting for matches to start. Okay, all that's true. So these two are the main things that they say connection and time to match as their matchmaking system. Everything else from here to here are just things that they say they kind of take into account, but they say they're also critical factors into the matchmaking. So it's player diversity, the number of playlist diversity. The number of playlists available for players to choose from. Recent maps/modes. Considering maps you have recently played on as well as your mode preference enabled in quick play settings. Skill/performance. This is used to give our players, a global community with a wide range of skill, the opportunity to have an impact in every match. Sure. Input device. Controller or mouse and keyboard. Duh. Crossplay. Platform, the device, PC/console that you are playing on. Yeah, all this goes to crossplay and voice chat enabled, disabled. Every time a player begins matchmaking in multiplayer, for example, the process needed to work through all these factors to find other players, all of which are also being analyzed to quickly assemble a lobby that is stable and competitive. I don't like this. Stable and I like the stability part. That's great. But I don't like the and competitive part because this is just regular multiplayer. They're not saying this is how Warzone works. This isn't how ranked works. This is base multiplayer. So they want base multiplayer to be stable and competitive. I get it. There has to be some competitiveness in multiplayer. The good example I find is Battlefront 2, Star Wars Battlefront 2. Sorry to bring up that ancient game, but it's still fun. That game you can play with other players, assuming you can find a lobby in today's day, but you can play with other players and if you feel like you want to have more fun or you just want to go on a power trip, they have a co-op mode where you can play certain modes against a team of majority bots with a few real players. That just makes it have that's just pretty much made for fun. So you can hop in, have fun, rip around with all the heroes, or even as a regular soldier, get a ton of kills. And same goes for the enemy team. You have 4 real players on there amongst a sea of bots. So they have a very real chance of making an impact if they eliminate enough of your team or are able to take you out also multiple times. I feel like if Call of Duty had something similar to this, it would be great because like once people get tired of a competitive and stable multiplayer quick play experience, they can hop into a different lobby where they maybe get a few players on the enemy team that are real and the other ones are just calibrated bots, just as like a wind down. Because sometimes playing a stable and competitive game gets very stressful. Anyway, let's continue. These factors have resulted in a progress that we believe provides the best player experience and creates a stronger community for Call of Duty worldwide. Yeah, sure, stronger against you. All right, so let's see right here. Measuring connection for matchmaking. Whether you guys are playing for fun or with friends or looking to climb the leaderboards, blah, 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 connection is the most important part of the online Call of Duty experience. That's what we say, but after you win 2 or 3 games in a row, your connection goes to shit over keeping players protected. But I digress. Call of Duty's matchmaking process evaluates a metric we call data pings, which is the difference in a round trip of the data between your data center, almost always the closest one to you, and the data centers onto which our lobbies have been placed based on all players in the lobby. To reiterate, we always try to maximize the times we place players in data centers that are closest to them. To their credit, this is, I don't know if this is fully true, but I've played against players from my area that are rocking the area code as a client tag, and that's pretty cool, because those people, it's like, all right, those people I know, they're in my community, they're not far from me, so could be a pretty even match. But when you do too well and it starts putting you against players from Mexico or players from England, that cannot be this almost always the closest to you type thing. So it's like, I don't mind playing with those players. I played with someone from England who was tripping out that we were even able to connect because we were so far away. But yeah, it's like it sacrifices your connection once you do too good to put you in players that are in your similar skill level, not in your similar connection level. It is not ping is king. It's ping is king until you do too well, and then skill is king in determining which lobbies you get into. Continue. The Call of Duty netcode we've discussed in the past works to reduce the effect of latency, but cannot completely eliminate it. The matchmaking process seeks to reduce the overall amount of latency and prioritize stability, connection, or low ping with a shortened wait time in mind. Okay, so that pretty much just said everything. They try to combine it together. Measuring time. Any form of matchmaking takes time. If the wait time in the lobby is excessively long, players typically recycle the process by canceling out the matchmaking search and restarting it, or even quitting. This does not quicken the matchmaking process and is in fact can be detrimental. For example, in the popular Modern Warfare 3 Rustment playlist, considering a Rust and shipment and rotation, players often leave lobbies or matches early on, hoping to requeue into shipment instead. This creates a vacant spot on a team during an early stage of the match, as the matchmaking process may prioritize backfilling that spot. This could result in players perceiving that Rust is disproportionately selected over shipment. TLDR, trying to cherry pick maps will have an unexpected result. Even when you're trying to pick a map, they don't want you to pick. They want their algorithm to pick for you. So they don't care that you want to play one map over the other. They don't want you cherry picking, which sucks because it's like some people just want shipment. They just want this. Some people just love that. And now there's a 24-hour playlist going around, so that's great. Some people are just trying to grind camels, and that's way easier to do on shipment than it is to do on Rust. I feel that way. It's just shipment is something we've had forever since Modern Warfare 3. I mean, since Modern Warfare 2019. So it's it's just one of those. It's that comfort map. You hop on shipment when you're just trying to get in a few games, get some kills. You know, you don't really care about your deaths. So some people love shipment for that. Rust is more of that nostalgic, fun map that everyone tries on because everybody loves this map. But sometimes you don't always want to be competitive. You just want to die 10 times in a row and get a few candles in shipment. So, yeah, I don't think that's right that they're getting mad at us cherry picking, especially since they implemented map voting. Um, so, yeah, I mean, if they see players like Shipment more, they should just throw Shipment in 75% of the time and Rust 25% of the time. Or see that once players play too much Shipment, just give them a match of Rust and let them go back to Shipment. That's all on them. All right, this is the one everyone cares about. Measuring skill. Sorry, trying to line it up. Measuring skill for matchmaking. All right, let's get into this. While skill is one of several factors in Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking, we know the community wants more information about how it fits into the process. Skill is determined based on a player's overall preference, performance, kills, deaths, wins, losses, and more, including mode selection, and recent matches as overall metric across all multiplayer experiences. This is a fluid measurement that consistently updates and reacting to your gameplay. Skill is not only a factor in matchmaking players against appropriate enemies, but also when finding teammates. Sure. So I get bots that are just AFK. But anyway, Call of Duty has historically considered player performance among their factors as part of our matchmaking process. Our work in the area dates back to as early as Call of Duty 4 Modern Warfare 2007. Skill is implemented across the video game industry, and we recognize that continuous refinement is required to deliver the best possible experience for our players. We use player performance to ensure that the disparity between the most skilled players and the lobby and in the lobby and the least skilled players in the lobby is not so vast that players feel their match is a waste of time. Well, I mean, you've achieved that because 1 out of every 3 games, I feel like I am wasting my time getting 15 score while the enemy gets 200. So don't tell me that's not skill based. Our data on player outcomes clearly indicates that the inclusion of skill in Call of Duty multiplayer matchmaking process as it currently stands increases the variety of outcome experienced by the players of all skill levels. In other words, all players, regardless of skill, are more likely to experience wins and losses more proportionally. So I just read this entire paragraph, and the only thing I can think is everybody this is the reason everybody is at a 1 KD. This is the reason everybody is at a 1 or a 0.75 win-loss ratio. Especially if you back out, that is probably even lower. This is the reason. Like, yeah, you're a more skilled player, but nobody knows it because everybody has the same KD. And all the effort goes into your skins, not even into any of the customizable calling cards or emblems. And nobody even changes it. How many of you guys in a lobby see people changing their basic calling card from the very first time the game came out? I'm barely starting to see it now, and the game's been out for months. People are just barely starting to do that. So it's like, there's no cool calling cards to earn. There's no incentive for players to stand out because the game is trying to make you feel like we are all the same. Like, we are always going to play the same game. It is always going to be a close match. It is always going to be a 199 to 200 score domination match. Not fun. The way it is right now, no. So they're going to talk about it a little bit more, but let's continue before I lose it. Our data shows that when lower skill players are consecutively on the losing end, they are likely to quit matches in progress or stop playing altogether. This has an effect on the player pool. A smaller player pool means wait times for matches increase and connections may not be as strong as they should be. This can compound over time to create a spiral effect. Eventually, when only high skilled players remain because lower skilled players have quit out of frustration, the result is an ecosystem that is worse overall for everyone. This is not true because it's like, it kind of takes a little bit of self-reflection to know if you're good or bad. I have not been the greatest Call of Duty player. I was not a competitive Call of Duty player. Since Black Ops 2, I have pretty much been on the low end of players having a 1 or below 1 KD. I'm not an amazing player, but I have never wanted to quit because a game was too hard. Because a multiplayer game was too hard. Like, I understand if they make unfair difficulty in other games, that would make players quit duty if they lose. Like, you're in a competitive multiplayer game. If you lose in a competitive multiplayer game, guess what? You got to get better. You got to go back into a private match, train your aim, train your jump shots, train your drop shots, train your movement, learn the maps. There are ways to get around good players and just people that have more skill. You can get more skilled in a multiplayer game. And that is why I am now a decent player at Call of Duty. Because from Black Ops 2 through now, I have been honing my skills, my aim, even though the engine has changed, been honing all these skills in to get better at the game, and now I'm pretty decent. Movement in games like Rocket League, it could take you a long time to master the different movements of Call of Duty, or it could take you a long time to learn the different points, jump points, spawn points, to be able to catch enemies off guard. There is some skill in this game, and I understand that lower skill players might get frustrated. But again, if they love the game and you guys just make a good game, even if they lose, they will want to keep playing. Because the core concept is so fun of the game that even though they get trampled on by better players, that is something that they can look forward to and they know they can work towards. Not this crap that artificially makes them feel like good players. Whenever I get into a game and I start dominating, I don't feel like I'm a great player. I feel like I just got handed a win. I feel like I got handed a lobby with a few Timmies that are like 10 years old. And then they're like, okay, have fun for a little bit. And the second I start having too much fun, they pull me out, throw me into a CDL match where everyone's sweating for $1,000, 100K cups. That is not a fun experience. That is going to make everybody quit. That's going to make small players quit. That is going to make skilled players quit. That is going to make everybody quit your game out of frustration for the system you guys have implemented. Not because we are losing. Not because we know we suck or we know we are good. Because you are manipulating us into thinking we are one or the other instead of letting us find out for ourselves and come to the realization that we are either good at the game or bad. And from there, we can continue to choose to either grow or move on. Move on to zombies. Move on if you guys want to incorporate a decent PvE mode like DMZ and make it better. People could play that all the time. That zombies would be fun. Like, if you guys made the PvE mode so much fun, players wouldn't be quitting out of frustration because they would have other things to go to. They would have other game modes to jump to, but we don't. Multiplayer is the only thing that's kind of half-assed, and even though it's half-assed, everything else isn't even partially assed. Like, they don't even try with the other modes, it seems. And they're like, yeah, play it. And then they're mad when we completely just uninstall the game or back out because you guys take up 200 and something gigabytes of space, but give us like 15 gigabytes worth of content. Where is all of that storage going toward? All right. Okay, I've gone off on this a little bit too much. But, all right, game data indicates that having some limitations on the disparity of skill across the players in a match makes for a healthier ecosystem. We also understand that many higher skilled players want more variety of experience. Yes, we do. But often feel like they are only getting the sweatiest lobbies. We have heard this feedback and will continue to test and explore ways to mitigate this concern. This is corporate talk for we aren't going to do shit. Like, pretty much this is the most corporate sentence I feel out of all of this. And it says, we have heard this feedback clearly and will continue to test and actively explore ways to mitigate this concern. Like the chat GPT come up with this line or with all of this. But yeah, often feel like we're getting the sweatiest lobbies. That's true. And I mean, the way I try to think about it is like, I get it. If you're good, they're going to put you with, I try to play devil's advocate here because I'm like, if you're good, yeah, they don't want you just pub stomping kids all day. Like, That's not fun either. But it's like getting put into the sweatiest of lobbies over and over and over and over again, especially when if you have friends and you guys all play well together, you guys will just constantly get put into the sweatiest of lobbies. Yeah, so this whole game is just a grind right now. It's just a giant grind. It's a giant grind. It's a giant sweat fest. It's like work. This game is like a job now. And I get like some people do it as a job, like streamers and shit, but this game isn't fun anymore. This game isn't like a game. It's work. It's a chore. It's just not fun anymore. Not what Call of Duty used to be. And yeah, I hop on and I have fun for about 20 minutes. I live stream trying to get some of the new camos, but once I get the new camos, or if I'm not playing with friends, I don't touch the game. And it sucks because it takes up 250 megabytes. So I really only have a few other games to play. It's like I just have to live with this game. And I don't know. Hopefully though, X Defiant comes out because I found this pretty disappointing. I like how they at least said something finally. I thought they were just gonna forget and not let us say anything. And I mean, I thought they were just gonna forget and ignore it and just not do anything about it. I don't like how they don't tell us exactly how much everything affects everything. They just tell us, oh yeah, these are the ingredients, but this isn't how much of each proportion goes in or how to mix them. It's just, yeah, this is what we check it, which was like it's stupid. We know, like if it has a toggle, like all this stuff is stuff we knew already. It's not really anything new. It just finally came out of their mouth. It's not what we wanted. It's them. I feel like they're trying to gaslight us, especially with this, saying that they have been doing this since 2007, Modern Warfare 4. So that means that even in Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops had some small version of skill based matchmaking in it. And people have been saying that that was the heyday. That was when none of that was on. All of this wasn't cranked up to 11. And yeah, it might have not been at 11. It might have been at 3 or 5. But apparently, according to them, it's been there since the beginning. Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Let's go over some of these random ass community questions, cherry picked community questions. Does Call of Duty consider player engagement, time played as a factor? We do not. Okay. Cool. Does Call of Duty matchmaking process impact any in-game elements such as hit registration, player visibility, aim assist, da da da? No, our matchmaking process does not impact that. Okay. It does not impact it directly, it just impacts your connection, which impacts all of that. Registration, player visibility, including the name tags never appearing above anybody, but spending more money on content such as bundles, battle pass, or black sale cheats. Here, money spent does not in any way, shape, or form factor into. I kind of want to believe this is true because I kind of want to believe they're just like throwing out bundles and just making cosmetics that they don't actually do anything. I mean, yeah, it could be pay to win, but at least you're paying for something. Because like back in the day, you paid less and got way more. The inflation is real, especially in Call of Duty's market. Damn. Does Call of Duty use bots in multiplayer matchmaking? Call of Duty multiplayer does not use bots as a part of general matchmaking process. If this changes in the future, we will inform the community. Okay. So this one I believe is true. I think there's just those Cronus scripts that have been running around and some people accidentally, just through dumb luck, get thrown into those lobbies. I don't think they're using real bots because I've done some pretty bot-like things when I've been playing Call of Duty. I'm not gonna lie, so I'm pretty sure some people thought I've been a bot sometimes. But they have patents for all this sitting. Like it doesn't mean that it's in the game. They just have patents for bots in multiplayer. They don't have a patent to be the only ones to do it, but they have a patent for their specific way of implementing it, I believe. There are other YouTubers that have gone over the patents. I might later, but that's kind of old news, so there's a lot of good YouTubers that made great videos on those patents. And if you want to see, they have patents for matchmaking and for bots. That's very interesting to look into. Partners or content creators get special consideration in general matchmaking. No, we do not change the matchmaking process based on who owns the account. In specific cases, such as for events like Call of Duty, we may be required to customize lobbies formed. However, these events usually take place in private matches and do not impact general matchmaking. All right, so this, no way to tell if it's true, but we've seen, I saw one big top female streamer who got killed by someone, I think twice. And I believe she was using, it was during the beginning of Warzone 3, I believe, where the snake shot tears were overpowered. So she was using those and she got mad and she got killed by someone using those. And I think she died to the same guy multiple times or maybe just once. But either way, what resulted was she got mad and reported him, and he got instantly banned and kicked from that game. So in the game, while she died, went in, reported him, and she looked down the at the kill count, and it said kicked. That player got kicked. I believe Call of Shame made a video on it. Um, it's like, going over that she literally he got banned on the spot and got kicked on the spot from the game that once she reported him. So this one, I'm not 100% sure if that's true, but whatever. Most of any of this shit, I'm not sure if it's true. It could all just be snake oil. So next question. Have you ever considered an opt-in, opt-out system for matchmaking algorithm? Our data suggests that splitting the player base with an opt-in, opt-out match system will have negative consequences on the player pool. This means potentially longer wait times based on the type of matchmaking selected, plus add blah, 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 blah. So basically, they're not saying they're not going to remove skill-based matchmaking. They're not going to give you a toggle. Because let's say they leave this default on. People get the game, and and let's say they do this tomorrow. Let's say they add this switch tomorrow. So every player that has been playing and everyone that makes YouTube videos on, hey, everyone switch over to opt out. Everyone opt out of skill-based matchmaking. What happens to all the brand new players that buy the game in 4 months or when the game is 3/4 or halfway through the life cycle and they don't know that they can opt out of skill-based matchmaking and the default is set to opt in? So now those players are left pretty much to themselves in a skill-based matchmaking lobby unless they do research and opt out, or unless, like with the annoying ass store pop-ups, Infinity Ward makes it a pop-up to say, do you want to opt in or opt out of skill-based matchmaking? Another reason they don't want to implement this is because they know damn well everybody would turn that shit off immediately. They know damn well. They know no one's going to keep that on. So they're not going to have a toggle for it because they know there wouldn't be a reason for that toggle. Everybody would want it off. Have you ever tested removing skill as a consideration for your matchmaking? We have run tests over the years to determine if removing skill as a consideration from matchmaking makes sense. We will continue to launch these tests periodically. To date, the data remains consistent that what we detailed above, players tend to quit matches or stop playing if they're getting blown out. As a result, if they're getting blown out, resulting in a negative overall experience for all players in the lobby and the general player population. We profusely do not disclose when these tests occur because it may impact feedback on the data we see during the test. So supposedly that players tend to quit matches, stop playing it. So yeah, pretty much they say that they have run tests over the years, removing it or adding it or testing it and saying that pretty much players don't like getting blown out. Like their system creates that anyway. It's pretty much double-edged sword. Yeah, nobody wants to get blown out. Nobody wants to get wrecked, or nobody wants to get steamrolled. But this system is not the way to fix that. It's clearly not. The players have been crying out against it for years, and just barely now they're addressing it after years of this being implemented. According to them, since 2007, they have been messing with it. That honestly feels almost like a little betrayal. That feels kind of like I don't know. It doesn't feel right. It feels like feeling that we've been being manipulated the whole time and we didn't even know it. We have considered this in the past and we will continue to examine if the idea makes sense. It's part of the experimental playlist between modes. We have nothing to announce on this front today. Yeah, so no. Anyone who thought out they were gonna come out and just remove it, you're on the most amount of hopium. Like I wish they did it, but they're not gonna do it. And I think until X Defiant releases and shows and takes the last of Call of Duty's players and shows that a game with no skill-based matchmaking, and no skill-based matchmaking and no disbanding lobbies is the way to go. So hopefully when that does not, but also guys, just X Defiant not having any SBMM doesn't mean it's going to be good. It doesn't mean the game is going to be amazing. I hope it is. It's free to play, so you you can definitely download it and try it. As of right now, I have my fingers crossed that that game is great and that it kicks Call of Duty in the ass and makes it finally move and get off the couch. Because it has been the laziest couch potato and has been the most manipulative couch potato. It's taken advantage, I think, the most of its players. Yeah, they don't like anything that was said here. They don't like too much that was said here. Yeah, sure, they finally said something about it, but it's all a whole lot of nothing. It's almost stuff we knew already. It almost feels like gaslighting, especially this. This, I think, bothers me the most. So, give me your guys' opinions in the comments down below. Is this good? Is this bad? Did you guys like what they said? Do you think it was enough? I really don't. I don't like what they were saying. I don't like how they're saying, yeah, connection is king, but